Ethereum is setting new all-time highs, institutional investors are looking to DeFi, and Paris Hilton followed me on Twitter. Hey guys, Sheldon Evans here, welcome back. Or if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on all of those bell notifications. As you know, YouTube does gatekeep some of this cryptocurrency content here on YouTube, so unless you let them know that you want to see this time-sensitive and often important information, you will miss out. Right, so on my display right now, I have the Ethereum US dollar chart open. And as you guys can see, Ethereum has turned its previous all-time high into a support, which I mentioned in the previous video, that if we did break out of this triangle with good volume and then turn this previous high into a support, we will see a strong move to the upside, which I believe we will continue to see at least throughout the rest of April. And I believe we will continue to move upwards and hit this next fib level at the $2,500-ish level, at least throughout this month. And we have some news backing this up, which I'll cover in a second. We'll also talk about some NFTs and some altcoin news as well later in the video. So now that we have this move with Ethereum, we can also look at Bitcoin dominance. Now you guys know that we did break below this 57% level, 57.5% level in the previous video, and we have continued falling. We have continued moving downwards, which is a good sign for Ethereum and altcoins, that if this continues to move downwards, we'll see a lot of this money flow from Bitcoin, or at least profits from Bitcoin flow into altcoins. Now, you guys know that there's generally a sort of cycle, the way that money flows around in cryptocurrency. It doesn't have to be new money that flows into crypto in order for prices to rally. Often the same money flows around in a circle as it moves from Bitcoin to large caps, to mid caps, to small caps, and those profits cycle back again into Bitcoin. And that's why we see these ebbs and flows in altcoin cycles and in Bitcoin cycles, or in the price of Bitcoin at least, because the money flows in this sort of circle. Obviously, somewhere along that circle, new money is injected into the market as retail investors come and institutional investors come into cryptocurrency, but generally it follows that general cycle. I want to highlight that Raoul Pal posted on Twitter that it's fascinating to see that since the inception of Ethereum, it has outperformed Bitcoin by 250%. It only fell below its initial price in Bitcoin for the first 5 months in existence in 2015. Let that put to rest the idea that all other tokens trend towards zero in Bitcoin terms. So this is around the idea that most people would be better off holding Bitcoin instead of buying Ethereum or any other altcoins, because eventually Bitcoin will outperform them. Now, he's put this to rest by saying that if you purchased Ethereum, you would have actually outperformed Bitcoin, which has been challenged by a lot of different people as well, which Peter McCormack is one of those people who is a Bitcoin bull, whereas Raoul is sort of an Ethereum bull. He does post a lot of information on Twitter regarding charts and some interesting insights around Ethereum and Bitcoin as well. So I do suggest you follow him if you aren't yet. He does have some very interesting tweets. So he says that tokens that fail to get network effects trend lower. Tokens that achieve ecosystem network effects, active wallets, more developers, more apps will likely rise in Bitcoin terms over time. The art is in choosing which will get network effects, and that ain't easy. Hence why I chose a basket. So this is exactly what I say all the time, is that you don't have to pick one. You don't have to pick Ethereum. You don't have to pick Solana. You don't have to pick Polkadot. You don't have to pick Cosmos. You don't have to pick any of these. You can purchase as many as you want. No one is holding a gun to your head saying that you can only buy Ethereum or you can only buy Cardano. You can buy whatever you want and add them into a basket and hedge your bets depending on which gets accepted. Maybe along the way, you'll see that one starts picking up traction more than the other, and then you can shift some of those profits or some of those assets to more heavily to one of those specific layer 1 protocols that you enjoy. So with that being said, Ethereum is very strong, and we do have additional news to support that. So even though Bitcoin has been the number one choice for institutional investors or new people coming into crypto, they are looking to Ethereum now, or looking to DeFi at least, because there's a lot of interest in that for a number of reasons. So while the NFT craze seems to be slowing down, DeFi, on the contrary, is once again breaking records. Due to the Ether price surge, the total value locked in DeFi protocols is now over $61 billion. So there's a lot of money being locked up in DeFi right now, and it seems to be mostly in Ethereum. As you know, most DeFi protocols are currently running on Ethereum. And as someone who is more in the behind the scenes, and I speak to these projects in their inception stages and speak to developers and so on, I can tell you right now that that interest is still in Ethereum. Ethereum is still the first choice, even though we have Cardano, Polkadot, and so on. Ethereum is still the first choice for developers. A lot of these other protocols or chains are secondary choices to Ethereum. So developers still do use Ethereum. And the reason for this is exactly as we spoke about before, the network effect. Most things already exist on Ethereum. Most DeFi is already on Ethereum. So the money, the network effect, the users, the developers are all there already. And we can see this because we have over $8 billion locked up in ETH 2.0 right now. As you guys know, this is in anticipation of ETH2 being launched later this year, which we'll talk about in a second as well. So $8 billion of people's money has been locked up in ETH 2.0 without the anticipation or without the ability to withdraw that, right? So this money is locked away. This shows a ton of support for Ethereum, at least from the retail and even institutional side, or people who are staking their Ethereum into ETH 2.0 and waiting for that release. We have no timeline for that yet. We don't have an exact date. Obviously, these things can be pushed, timelines can change, things get delayed, and this is sort of becoming a meme with Ethereum. As you guys know, the timelines get pushed later and later and later. But with that being said, there's still $8 billion locked up in that, so it shows that there's tons of support for Ethereum. So Ethereum is giving institutional investors the opportunity to experiment with DeFi. Multiple venture capitalist firms and groups such as DeFi Alliance, formerly the Chicago DeFi Alliance, have already made audacious investments in the DeFi industry. The number of institutional investors flocking to DeFi is only expected to grow, helping bring liquidity, reduced volatility, and increased credibility to the industry. So this is why I believe that there is a possibility for Ethereum to flip Bitcoin in market cap. Maybe not this cycle, maybe in the next cycle, but people are looking towards Ethereum as not only a store of value, because remember, most people are looking towards Bitcoin as the main store of value or hedge against inflation and hedge against the depreciating value of the dollar. People are also looking to Ethereum for the exact same reason, but Ethereum also comes along with a utility side to that as well. So I think people are underestimating what will happen once Ethereum does have these upgrades later this year. Ethereum still has a ton of network effect. It still has a ton of people building on it, and it's introducing even new people building on top of Ethereum. So once we do see more institutional investors coming to Ethereum, this is exactly what we'll see: more liquidity, reduced volatility. So Ethereum will then increase in value and stabilize at a higher and higher price, pretty much just exactly as what Bitcoin did in the previous cycle. And also, if you follow Raoul Pal on Twitter, you guys would have seen from one of my previous videos where I covered how Ethereum's price chart sort of mirrors Bitcoin's price chart during its 2017 bull run. So if we do expect Ethereum to continue in the path that it's currently going in, once it becomes deflationary, once fees drop, I believe we could possibly see a very similar rally in Ethereum to what we did see in Bitcoin in 2017. Now, obviously, you guys know that price predictions are sort of crazy to me. I didn't really like doing price predictions, but you guys do ask for them. That is why I do chart analysis in some of my videos. It's just to satisfy you guys. I don't personally, even if some piece of fundamental news or something gets shot up, your technical analysis gets thrown completely out of the window and you're left in the dust. So it's always important to look at both sides of the coin, both technical and fundamental analysis, if you are looking to predict the price of something. But if you're going to be simply holding long term, then it doesn't matter at all. Simply pick the projects that you believe in, that you think will grow, and hold on to them long term. Come back in a few months and you'll be smiling from ear to ear with a lot of money in your wallet. So many DeFi projects are already developing solutions catered to institutional investors, offering risk management tools, other institutional grade services similar to traditional finance, in order for these companies to be able to hedge their positions and minimize risk. So that is also one of the things that is stopping a lot of institutions from investing in Ethereum, for that matter, is that there's a lot of room for risk. There's exploits that can happen, there's money that gets stolen, exchanges get hacked. Self-custody is a very big problem. Even though that it's the main reason that we have cryptocurrency, right? It's decentralization, it's self-custody, but most people can't deal with the responsibility of managing all of their own money. And the same goes for institutions, right? If an institution is looking to invest in Ethereum or Bitcoin and they are going to have self-custody of that cryptocurrency, there's a lot of regulation that has to take place. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be signed, because they are not managing only their own money, but also all of their investors' money. They are managing billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars that aren't always theirs. So there have to be measures in place for them to protect that money and make sure that it's safe, that it doesn't get lost, it doesn't get stolen, it doesn't go to the wrong address. There's so many things that can happen in cryptocurrency that can end with you losing your cryptocurrency, or at least it getting stolen, burnt, and so on. So there's a lot that has to go on behind the scenes in order to mitigate this risk and ensure that risk if these institutions are going to look to invest in cryptocurrency, and especially DeFi and Ethereum at this point. So until there are better and easier ways to mitigate these risks, which are being worked on currently, then I believe we'll start seeing massive institutional investment into crypto, not just Bitcoin, but Ethereum, and even possibly other altcoins as well. As you guys know, there are obviously funds and trusts that you can invest in now that give you access to a large variety of cryptos, which is what institutions are currently looking at, because Then the self-custody is sort of a secondary thing as well. It's not just them that are responsible for holding that cryptocurrency. They can pass off some of that responsibility to the trusts and funds that they're in as well. So there's a lot that has to go on behind the scenes, and how that will affect the value of the companies and the institutions that are purchasing Bitcoin and purchasing cryptocurrency, because even the volatility of that can then affect the share and stock price of the companies and the institutions that are investing in them. So there's a lot that has to go on behind the scenes and a lot that they have to take into account before investing into cryptocurrency. So that is why I think that this altcoin cycle, or this crypto cycle as a whole, could be a potential super cycle because of the timelines behind the scenes for these institutional investors, right? We've seen the interest from the institutional investors, but the timelines sort of get dragged out because of the traditional financial industry and the traditional regulations that they have to go through in order to drag that out. And it takes time, it takes weeks, months, takes many, many people behind the scenes to get this right. So that could drag out the timeline of this, and perhaps this cycle could last much longer than many of us expect, and we won't even see the huge decline that we did from previous bull runs. Obviously, this is just theory, this is just speculation, not financial advice. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it is a possibility. So I also want to talk about PancakeSwap, which is aiming to take a slice of Uniswap's DeFi dominance. So you guys know that BNB and Binance Smart Chain and PancakeSwap have been having crazy rallies lately, and that is due to obviously the decreased fees or the cheaper fees on Binance Smart Chain. And it's incredible what can happen when some centralization is introduced, right? So DeFi has taken a bit of a hit, right? We know this because the prices of Ethereum or Ethereum gas fees are so incredibly high. So it sort of becomes a whale's playground. So people are looking to other solutions like Binance Smart Chain, and they don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. Most people that are entering cryptocurrency are here for the money. They're looking to make a quick buck. They're looking to invest. They see other people making money, so they do the same thing. But when they come in and they see Ethereum's super high fees, they get deterred immediately, so they start looking to other solutions. They don't really care at the heart whether they are decentralized, whether they're completely decentralized, anonymous. No one really cares. They're just here to make some money. So that's why we're seeing so much of a move to Binance Smart Chain and BNB and so on. But like I said earlier in the video, I do believe most people are underestimating what will happen to Ethereum once these improvement protocols and upgrades have taken place. This hype will shift straight back to Ethereum. It will come right back to Ethereum, and people will start abandoning other protocols. So right now, what is happening is people aren't shifting entirely from Ethereum, right? They're becoming multi-chain, cross-chain, and chain agnostic sort of integrations and implementations and so on. They're moving to a variety of different chains: Ethereum, Polkadot, Cosmos. Well, Cosmos is the interoperability layer, but into all of these different chains and Binance Smart Chain and so on, they're becoming cross-chain and multi-chain. Whereas they're not shifting entirely to be Binance Smart Chain or launching exclusively on Binance Smart Chain. Generally, they're on both chains and multiple chains. So what can happen is, since it's so easy for these protocols and these coins and projects and so on to shift to multiple chains, what's going to happen is that shift is going to come right back to Ethereum, because that is where the majority of users are. That is where the majority of DeFi currently exists. And like I've shown you, there is a lot of support still for Ethereum. So once these upgrades have taken place, that movement is going to shift right back to Ethereum, and we're going to see Ethereum either skyrocket in price, increase in value, new projects being built on Ethereum, and Ethereum really rally the way that we expected it to earlier this year, and before fees just sort of killed everyone. So Pancake could be a potential a perpetual vampire, which is what we've spoken about. So the inflation rate of Cake is very, very high, which is 3.78% per week. So that's very high compared to Uni's inflation rate of 2% per year. So they are looking to decrease that, make Cake less inflationary, which would increase the value of it as well. So everyone's sort of looking for ways to compete with one another and sort of take that network effect away from Ethereum. But I believe that at the heart of it, Ethereum is still going to be the major player this year at least. Obviously, something might come along and take its throne, but we'll see, or I'll make that decision. We'll be able to really define what has changed after those improvements have been implemented on Ethereum. So Bitcoin is also rallying to new all-time highs, and we could continue seeing that throughout the year as well. And there's a few reasons for this. I mentioned this one in the previous video, which is that the miners have turned into Bitcoin accumulators again. They're not selling their Bitcoin, they're holding it quite steadily, which is a very, very good sign. Long-term holders are selling Bitcoin are slowing down. So obviously people who have been holding Bitcoin for many, many years had to wait a very long time for that Bitcoin to come into profit. So perhaps they bought at the peak of 2017 and were just waiting to get out. So when Bitcoin did eventually surpass its previous all-time high, they immediately began selling because they were completely over it, or maybe they just were looking for a profit. There's very difficult to determine what the psychology of individual traders are, but most of the time it's because people have been hodling too long and they're completely sick and tired of it, so they sell. And those holders have now slowed down because people who truly believe in Bitcoin and truly believe in Ethereum are holding onto it now. They're no longer selling. They're not trying to get rid of their bags because they don't believe in it. Same for whales as well, which is exactly the same as this. So whales with Bitcoin balances above 1,000 or more Bitcoin have declined 10% since the beginning of February. So we're seeing a huge decline in that, which means that whales are looking to accumulate again. They're looking to hold because they do see Bitcoin increasing in value. Now, the thing with this is that even though most people follow Bitcoin whales and Ethereum whales and so on, they look to see their movements to sort of judge the sentiment of the market. You have to remember that people who own a lot of Bitcoin or who own a lot of Ethereum aren't necessarily geniuses. They aren't smart people. They aren't people who have done everything right in order to accumulate that. They could have got lucky a few times. Maybe they got into crypto early. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are incredibly smart people. But what ends up happening is majority of people, crowds and groups of people follow the movements of these whales and track them and follow what they're doing next and sort of mimic that and emulate them. And thus we see these huge market moves because people are mimicking the moves of the whales, even though that's not exactly what is happening. They do have some impact on the market because it could be seen as manipulation, but they might not be intentionally doing it, right? They're just moving the money around how they see fit, and then people follow in their footsteps. We also see institutional demand rising for Bitcoin. So institutions are accumulating more Bitcoin because it's moving off exchanges and moving to cold storage. So that's a very good thing as well. We're seeing more people accumulate Bitcoin for long-term storage, which, by the way, is a very similar truth for Ethereum. People are hodling Ethereum. It's coming off of exchanges. We're seeing the supply dry up on exchanges. So that's why we may see an even further rise in the price of Ethereum. So I also want to look at two interesting pieces of information: that the trading platform eToro is looking to go public. As you guys know, Coinbase is going to be going public on April 14th, I think it is. So their IPO will be on April 14th. And with that, I said in the previous video that it would spark other platforms and other institutions to go public as well, at least crypto-specific platforms to go public. So eToro has been a traditional stock trading platform, sort of similar to Robinhood. It's an Israeli-based company, and they had an acquisition with SPAC FinTech in a massive $10.4 billion deal. So in January alone, the company added over 1.2 million new users and executed more than 75 million trades on the platform. That is a huge increase from their 2019 registrations from 192,000 monthly to then 440,000 monthly. And now they've got 1.2 million new users, which is huge. So the eToro said that its platform is capitalizing on a number of secular trends, such as the rise in digital wealth platforms, growing retail participation, and mainstream crypto adoption. So there are a lot of people monetizing, or at least capitalizing on the growth of crypto right now, which is one of the reasons that this channel has grown so much. Thank you so much for that, by the way. You guys are incredible. But what has spiked the rally in subscribers of the channel as well is mainstream adoption in crypto. We've seen a ton of new users come into crypto, and we've seen that on YouTube. Many of the crypto channels have sort of skyrocketed in subscribers and view counts because retail is here for crypto. As much as people don't want to believe that retail isn't here yet, at 100% is. We see a cycle of that. People are coming to crypto right now from NFTs. The NFT hype drove a lot of retail investment and retail hype. First it was DeFi, then it was NFTs. Most people aren't really financial heads or financial brains, so they're not looking to DeFi, especially the younger generation. They're looking more to NFTs. That drives a lot of the hype. So those people moved first into crypto with NFTs, and then they started exploring other aspects like DeFi. And that is what's driven a huge retail adoption of cryptocurrency lately. And platforms like eToro understand this, and that's why they started listing a lot of these cryptocurrencies on eToro so that you can invest and purchase cryptos quite easily, especially to those in different platforms in the world. And they're also like a social trading platform as well, right? So you can follow the trades of other investors. So you may see new investors who are cryptocurrency pros that are trading on eToro that are gaining a lot of traction because people can simply follow their trades. You don't have to do the trades yourself. You simply click one button and it follows all of their trades. Bitcoin exchange Kraken considers going public after the record trading volumes in the first quarter. Now, I mentioned this in the previous video as well. I speculated that Kraken could be the next company to go public within the cryptocurrency space after Coinbase, and now we have the news that that is true. So Kraken, like I said, they are looking to explore new headquarters at certain places in the world, perhaps in Dubai. This is information that I'm not allowed to share really where I got it from, but there is a lot of information regarding Kraken expanding drastically around the world. And this is one of those things as well that we can see right now, that Bitcoin, the exchange Kraken at least, is deciding to go public. So we are seeing a lot of these cryptocurrency related projects or companies going public, which indicates that mainstream adoption is here as well. And the reason they're choosing to go public now during the bull run is that they're probably going to get the highest valuations that they possibly can during this time. So it's a very good time for them to do this, because they will see a lot of interest and a lot of investment. Then I want to talk about Paris Hilton. So you guys would know that Paris Hilton has launched her own NFTs, or is going to be launching her own NFTs, and the platform that is going to be on can be speculated about. Perhaps I know something, perhaps I don't. But if you've been following the channel, then maybe you'll have a good idea of what that may be. So she's planning to go big with NFTs. I suggest you go read this article if you want more information on NFTs, but she does have a very good guideline and a good understanding of NFTs and how she can use them. As much as whatever your thought of Paris Hilton may be, whether you like her or don't like her, she is a very good businesswoman. No matter what you say, she has more money than you, probably. So she's launched multiple $1 million product lines. She's got multiple companies. She's a very, very good entrepreneur. Even if you may say that that's off the back of other people, or that she has people doing it for her, it doesn't matter. She's managed to gain this following and this money herself. She's an entrepreneur at heart. She's working on these things, even though she's got teams of people. No one does anything on their own. I suggest also you watch her documentary if you haven't yet as well. It's got some interesting information in it as well. So I do suggest you check this out. NFTs are still exploding. Even though we have the speculative side towards the art side of NFTs, there's still a lot more use case for NFTs. So she's mainly focused on the art side of things in music and democratizing art as giving back to the artists, or artists taking control over their work and their money and so on. So NFTs still have that huge use case, even though that part of it may have been in a bubble currently or previously. I do believe the shift for true use case NFTs are still coming ahead in the future as well. So, and if you don't know yet, Paris Hilton does follow me on Twitter, so I'm kind of a big deal right now. So I suggest you guys go and do the same. Follow me on Twitter. We're currently at 60-something thousand followers, which is incredible. Like, that's huge. We've grown crazy over this year on Twitter as well. So thank you guys so much for that. I really, really do appreciate it. Then we have Mark Cuban discussing NFTs as well. So you guys know that he does own Mintable, which is sort of an NFT marketplace. At the beginning, it was sort of a speculative thing. He was playing around with NFTs. He does admit that it was just a simple hedge or bet to see what the introduction to NFTs are. But now I think he's truly realizing the use case of NFTs. So as you guys know, that I said that I really like NFTs that have utility and real world use case. So he says right now we see quite a bit of utilization of smart contracts for NFTs, but those are really just proof of concept of what can happen in the business world applications like insurance, legal documents, and so on. So minting NFTs for actual real world assets, real world use cases and contracts and so on, to verify the authenticity of them, to transfer ownership quite easily and verify the transfer of ownership. These are all things that NFTs will have massive use case for going forward. Now, this obviously will take some time. Again, real world regulation, real world adoption will be slower because of the industry that they're targeting, right? They're targeting traditional industries. They're not looking to create something entirely new. They are targeting people who are currently working in these industries of like legal information and insurance and so on. So it will be a slower adoption compared to the mass NFT hype that we saw previously. Then I also just want to highlight the NFTs from Rack. So this is going back to the art side of NFTs and how this could really grow in value. And that is, they're able to monetize different parts of the creative process, right? So in the past, if you were a musician, you would have created your music, streamed it on Spotify and iTunes and so on, and done live performances, and that's how you would have made your money. And you would have got only a small percentage of those streams because a lot of it goes to music producers and so on. But what they're doing now is artists are able to monetize the entire process of the creation of their art or of their music and so on. So what Rack has done is he created his EP and created his music. Then he collaborated with Weisinger Andres at the same time, and he sent him this message, and he created the artwork for this. So essentially he created artworks for different parts or different songs, different music, and then that was auctioned off and sold on Nifty Gateway. So a lot of money to be made, at least in the early stage processes of these artists. And I believe that this is what a lot of people want to do, right? They want to invest in the entire process of these artists. They don't just want to be consumers at the end of the line, consuming their music and so on. They want to be there from the start. They want to be there for the process of these musicians. And this is something that is very, very important. I will talk about another very interesting music NFT project later on this year, or at least in a few months. And you guys will be the first to hear about that. I've got some exciting things that I'm talking to some very interesting people behind the scenes working on cool projects. Next up, we have shopping.io. As you guys know, they are a friend of the channel along with crypto.com. And the great thing about that is they have both partnered. So for the next month, you get an additional 5% if you use crypto.com pay on shopping.io, which is a huge incentive in my eyes. Why would you use anything like Amazon or eBay or Walmart? Why would you purchase directly through those platforms when you're getting these massive discounts when using shopping.io and you can purchase with crypto, right? This is a huge deal right now. Shopping.io, if they continue to make these massive partnerships and increase their incentives as to why you should use their platform and shift away from using the direct platforms like Amazon and so on. So many people around the world can't get access to Amazon. They can't get access to Walmart and eBay because they can't sign up or it's not offered in their part of the world. Where shopping.io offers free shipping on these things as well as a major discount. This is huge, and this is why I see shopping.io being one of the major players this year, a big project in e-commerce. I also want to discuss reserve rights. So you guys know reserve rights from a previous video that I made in December. I haven't mentioned them much since then, but they are doing incredible things and have continued growing in value. So when I first mentioned them, they were around 17, 16 cents, or 1.6 cents at least, 1.7 and 1.6 cents. And they have since grown almost to 10 cents, currently sitting at around 8 cents, which is a massive growth, a 5x growth just in a few months. I believe reserve rights is one of the major projects as well that will be perhaps even a top 10, top 20 project this year. And the reason for that is, as you guys know, they are aiming to be the world's reserve currency, and they're catering to countries that have hyperinflation or are struggling with hyperinflation and instead will be using the reserve right. They're big in Colombia, they're big in Venezuela, countries that are currently suffering from hyperinflation. So in order to accelerate the growth, they'll be unlocking 3.81% of the total RSR supply to offer referral incentives to reserve app users. Now, this is a great marketing strategy that they're going to be using, and that is by incentivizing people to join the platform and paying them for that, right? That is why they unlock this. So the crazy thing about this is that they unlock these tokens and they basically increase the circulating supply of reserve by 33%, but the price of reserve hasn't dropped. It's actually increased when they did this. So this means that the buying power or the buying demand for reserve has actually increased, even though they have decreased or unlocked further tokens, right? So the incentive budget won't be all spent in 2021, but we plan to start using it before the end of this year. We're doing the unlock many months in advance so that we have time to slowly and patiently convert RSR to RSV without any significant impact on RSR markets. Now, this is very, very smart as well and very good for investors. They are taking investors' minds and investors into account when they're doing these things and doing this marketing. A lot of projects don't sort of look to their investors and simply do what they want with their funds and do what they want with their money. But Reserve understands the responsibility here. They understand their role in the market. So they're doing whatever they can to protect their investors. And you can actually go see these unlocks live on Whale Alert. So if you follow this account, I suggest you do as well, even if you don't follow RSR. But it gives you notifications of huge transactions that are happening. So these transactions can be viewed right on the blockchain as to when they unlock these tokens. So you can see 3 billion RSR was unlocked twice there. We also have, for context, the PayPal example. So in PayPal filed in their SEC filings around the time of the IPO, we began the year 2000 with 12,000 users, and just 6 months later, our account base has grown to 2.2 million users. So this shows you how fast they grew, having this referral, this incentive-based user acquisition model, right? And the reason they're following PayPal and using PayPal as an example is, if you guys don't know yet, but Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, is actually a huge investor in Reserve. So we have massive investors backing Reserve. We've got Coinbase Ventures, we've got Sam Altman, who's the president of Y Combinator. Huge names behind this. Also, we have Ran, here, which is also a friend of the channel. I suggest you go check his channel out as well. He's got a great crypto channel that's up and coming, getting tons of subscribers. Go check him out. With that, tons of huge investors in Reserve, and that's why they used PayPal as an example here. So this idea, or this model, was probably taken from PayPal, and thanks to Peter Thiel. So PayPal offered its users $10 for each person they referred, and $10 to each new person that joined. And this is similar to what they're going to be doing with Reserve, right? So they anticipate RSV incentives to accelerate growth in the later half of 2021. Right now, the team is very focused on removing operational and technological barriers to scalability of our app. Even if 10 million people wanted to join right now, we couldn't support them. So they're very smart. They know exactly what they're doing. They understand that they're not trying to screw over investors. They're not trying to dump RSR on the market. They're not trying to crash the price of the project. They're very, very focused on both building the tech behind the scenes and looking first towards their investors, making sure that they don't lose money, at least in the best way that they can. Obviously, they can't always be sure that they're not going to lose money, but they are doing their best to prevent that. And we can see that from the huge investors that are behind them, the smart minds that are behind Reserve. I do think that this is one of the major projects this year. I mean, we first called them, like I said, a few months ago at just 1.6, 1.7 cents. I believe this is a $1+ project, at least within this bull run. And finally, we have some news from Origin Protocol. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of Origin. They have listed on Coinbase. When I first mentioned them, ever since that, there has been a ton of news coming out with Origin Protocol. Firstly, from launching Jake Paul's NFTs. They're going to be partnering with a big celebrity that possibly follows me on Twitter. We also have Coinbase listing and Coinbase Pro listing. So the Coinbase Pro listing was just a few days ago, and then we have the Coinbase listing just a few hours ago. So many people ask why I mention the same projects over and over again. Well, that is firstly because I do enjoy them. I am obviously invested in these projects. I need you guys to understand that I am mentioning things that I'm invested in. I wouldn't mention things that I don't care about, I'm not invested in. I am an investor in these projects because I like them and they are solid projects. Now, many people have asked, well, why are the projects that I'm invested in or the ones that you're invested in not growing? Why are they not pumping? Why is nothing happening with them? Well, the truth is, what are you doing about it? That is a very important factor. What are you doing about your investment, right? I'm always in Discords, I'm always in Telegrams, chatting to other investors, speaking to project owners and founders and so on. And many people are always complaining, oh, what the hell is happening with the price? Why is the price not going up? Why is this not growing? Why is this project not growing? Well, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing about it? Are you helping that project go? If you're an investor, it's in your best interest to help that project go, to help that project secure partnerships, to help that project move in any way that you can. So if you are invested in cryptocurrency, look to move further than that. Look to go, in the words of Ivan Antec, full-time crypto, right? You want to be involved in the projects, contact them, contact the project founders and ask how you can help it grow, how you can help them secure more partnerships, give them suggestions as to how they can improve the project, what they can work on, and what are their faults. Do these things and get deeply involved with these projects, and I guarantee you that the value of your bags will pump and you will be more invested and more interested in this than you ever were before. So I do suggest that if you are a new investor into cryptocurrency and you're wondering why your portfolio isn't growing in value, look at what you're invested in, look at the projects that you're invested in, and reach out to them. Go to their Telegrams, go to their Discords, chat to the project founders. I say this often, that if you want to speak directly to the CEO of many of these companies, more often than not, they'll be willing to speak to you. This is not really available in any other industry. You can't DM the founder of PayPal or DM the Tim Cook. I mean, you can email him, but to get direct responses instantly in Discord and Telegram with project founders, CEOs, CMOs, CFOs instantly is a huge thing. You're so early into this market that we can have this one-on-one direct communication with major heads in cryptocurrency, major heads of these projects, and you can get involved yourself. I've seen many community hires thanks to Discord and Telegram. Shopping.io is one of the perfect examples of that they've hired many people directly through their Telegram. If you have a skill, you have a skill set, something that is impressive to the team, something that can help the project grow, contact them, let them know, and perhaps you'll even get hired. Many people or many investors right now are simply people sitting at home looking to make some money with cryptocurrency, and they're purchasing one shit coin after another, looking to hoping that it will grow in value. But if you actually get involved with the projects, you have an even better chance of that project succeeding in the long run, and especially if it's something that is truly good, solving a true problem, and is going to change the world, or at least if you believe that it will change the world. So with that being said, get involved in crypto and like the video. If you guys like the video, please hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't yet. And as always, I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.